to set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Action!
I am back and forth like a ping pong ball, trying to formulate how to bring you guys this episode. We're talking about 2006, Devil Wears Prada. In my view, this is, and we're talking from the heart of the film buff, aka Patterson. Welcome back. It's episode probably at this point 1200 and something. I'm the most consistent film discussioner, critic, reviewer on planet Earth. No one's more consistent than me. We do one episode drops. We do multiple drops a day. I think even today I'm targeting 3 or 4 drops. I love movies. I'm obsessed. I love it. I got so much in my head. I pull in my life experience, and I just try and cobble it all together. And sometimes we breach new topics and we discuss dangerous things. A little bit, I think, of that will be discussed today because we have what I view as a pitch episode. I feel like I have to pitch a Devil's Wears Prada. The Devils Wear Prada. Why is this film? Why is it significant? What does it mean? Why, if you're not a female, why would you care about this movie? Well, look, AK, I will say this one. We'll start with this one point about the fashion industry. I view guys like Tom Ford, Karl Lagerfeld, just the original Chanel, our Coco baby. I view these individuals and the leaders of the fashion industry in print, in production, in design, in all of it. Because there's a lot of heads to this industry, and the industry evolves and moves and walks through all the ages, all the times. These individuals, the creative directors, are some of the most imaginative individuals on planet Earth. Some of the most imaginative individuals that have ever wielded a team underneath them and around them, that wielded markets and the level that they work. And it's endless to me. And you might say to yourself, well, Pete, what about the Jim Henson Muppet guy? And what about George Lucas, the Star Wars robot guy? And what about this? And what about Jack Kirby, the co-creator of the Marvel Universe, and Stan Lee, the other guy? And how about Matt Groening, the guy that created The Simpsons? Aren't these also imaginative individuals? And I would say no. To me, in my view, a lot of those names are one-trick ponies. What you have to do to succeed in fashion is unfathomable to me. It's beyond any reach. Even penetrating, that's what she said, into the industry and the marketplace it's inspiring. And these people, these creative directors, really don't have days off. As soon as you're done one collection, you're on to the next. And here's the crazy thing. Everything has to be a hit all the time. It has to generate not just money, but attention and acclaim. It's hard to, in fashion, to say that if something sells, it's a win. And people hate it, that's okay because it's sold. We can say that with film. We can say the audience loved the movie, but the box office sucked, or the box office was great, and that's great, but the audience liked it, hated it, but it made money, so that's great. So, you can't say that in fashion. Fashion, you have to be high level, consistent. The pressure is immeasurable. So the industry is a little bit of a, if you couldn't tell, a study of mine. I would say it's a true hobby. It's a true passion. I love learning about it. I love experiencing it. A couple birthdays ago, my family and we went to go see the Karl Lagerfeld collection. He had a museum at the, I think it was at the MoMA, the Modern History of Modern Art, Modern Museum of Modern Art, or something, in New York. And it was such a great day. And there's so many of those pieces that are just burned into my mind from that show. I study fashion, and I have no intent to get into the fashion marketplace. I just don't. But I like it. And I'll sit down with whoever, and I will talk about things all freaking day. The Devil Wears Prada. If you need to sketch out what this movie is, it goes to a girl named Lauren Weisenberger. She got hired by a woman for Vogue magazine. And keep in mind, Vogue magazine is the greatest publication the world's ever seen. There's no greater periodical ever. Even Vogue in other countries is coveted, meaning Quentin Tarantino wrote a scene into how coveted Italian Vogue is in America when he wrote Death Proof, where the girls kind of freak out when there's a Italian Vogue just sitting in some like rest stop. They're going to get gas and I don't know, get brownies and coffee or whatever, right? Like, and they're able to use someone as collateral to test drive a car with the magazine. It's like it's a great scene, and it's somewhat of a commentary on how women can be lured into danger by something the rest of the world just deems insignificant. But Italian Vogue is as important as the French Vogue, and French Vogue is as important as the British Vogue, and British Vogue is as important as the US Vogue. You have to spend hundreds of dollars a month to get them all, and even more hundreds to analyze it all and to make sense of it. But Vogue does do that. That's what the magazine's all about. So much of it is controlled by this woman named Anna Winthorpe, who's not a name that's we're on our weekend shows, Saturday and Sunday. We do documentaries. We have some documentaries that feature her coming up, so just be on the lookout. But Anna Winthorpe is, she's Winthorpe or Winthorpe, Thorpe with a P. She's not the easiest woman to work with. So someone was so scarred working with this girl. You know who should, just side note, the NFL coaches should be writing books. Like, the stuff NFL coaches deal with, and they work 20-hour days and never have successful marriages and probably die, like Nick Nolte's character and Al Pacino's character. Nick Nolte in Blue Chips, Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday. Look at those characters of sports coaches, and you tell me that's the life you want. But anyway, so Lauren, in her own right, she writes a book about this experience of working at Vogue, working at Anna, with Anna Winthorpe. And this becomes The Devil Wears Prada. I was recently in London in December. Spent maybe 6 or 7 days there. Everywhere you go in London, Devils Wear Prada musical. Just advertisements for it everywhere. I would never go see it because I believe in musicals for musical sake. I this adaptation musical era that we're in, I have no desire to see a Back to the Future musical ever. And if it got burned, if it got flashy thingy from Men in Black, the flashy thing, if it got zapped and the world forgot about it, I would be okay with it, with the knowledge that people forgot about it. The Devil Wears Prada right now is a little bit of the cultural impact of it. Has the waves of it have hit the shore and are kind of bouncing back to the source, because that's how waves and vibrations work. They hit the edge, they roll back, and we're at this cultural zeitgeist now where this movie gets a major sequel, has elevated the author Lauren, gets a musical, but then the original, wherever the original is, this movie, it's always trending. It's trending on Netflix immediately. It trends on Disney Plus immediately. It trends on HBO Max immediately. And what we're seeing here is a little bit of a generational switch, where a lot of the girls watch this movie, and they probably watched it for the fashion notes and just, so much of it too. You watch it for Stanley too, who plays Nigel, who in my view, in both movies, Oscar-worthy nomination. Just the way he blends into the role. It's almost just oh my god. But he's so great in this movie. And women can attach themselves to this world and lifestyle. And you might say it's materialistic, it's this and it's not, but it's not. Is going to see, just for example, something like Avengers Doomsday, is that materialistic? Because it costs $500 million by the time you go see it. And right, and movie tickets aren't, like, movies are somewhat becoming high art now. Like, or we might be in an era where we're going to see a $50 movie ticket. Is that pretentious? Is that, like, is that above itself? And you would say no, because it's for the common Joe, right? But the best people in the world made that. Like Robert Downey Jr. is headlining it. The Russo brothers are directing it. Modern day Walt Disney, one of the greatest film studios of all time. And they spent $500 million with the best people in the world to bring you this movie. Is that pretentious? Is that above itself? And you would say, no, Pete, that's ridiculous. Or, if you watch Lost on ABC, is that pretentious? One of the most expensive, successful shows of all time. None of it adds up. But when it comes to the fashion world, when the best people make what they make and they have it for you, it's called pretentious. It's called materialistic. It's called as if people play dumb, that they can't feel just for example, the weight of a handbag, and they can't tell the difference between that and the $15 version. Yes, this other one might be $1,500, but it's guaranteed for life, and it's also attached to something, a company that in many cases is over 100 years old. It's over a century old. A Burberry trench coat can cost $3,500. It goes back to the time where people would risk their lives flying, right? Like, there was a time where even commuter flights, the risk of death was way higher. But it goes all the way back to like the beginning of aviation, the Burberry trench coat, right? That's what you're buying into. You go to Walmart and you buy a knockoff of it. I'm not making fun of Walmart, just giving you a little bit of an example here. It's not the same though. So the label is attached to a level of history. We see a movie. If George Lucas directed a new Star Wars movie, we would all go to see it because it was George Lucas, and there's a legacy there. If they resurrected Stan Lee, and Stan Lee created one last comic book, we would all buy it because it's Stan Lee. Or Walt Disney coming back to direct and make one last animated movie, we would all see it for all the same reasons that we buy a Louis Vuitton belt. So it's got nothing to do. And with all of this stuff, you get some bad business around it, and that's what people like to focus on, because it's sensational and blah blah blah. But no, AKAPADers, what this movie unlocked to a generation was the mechanisms, a little piece of this world that's dramatized, that has Meryl Streep in one of the all-time performances, that has Anne Hathaway in one of the all-time performances, that has Emily Blunt in one, like, maybe my absolute performance of her, and what like, that's a tough one. We have Adrian Grenier from Entourage playing the boyfriend, and Stanley Tucci, Oscar level performance. And this whole movie, there's a whole scene in this movie where they're at this like dinner table with Anne Hathaway, and it's like her friends. And speaking of Death Proof, right, the one girl from Death Proof is in this, Tracy Thomas. Oh my God, we got two Death Proof references in this, and they go back and forth about this handbag. And and you get all the low level concepts thrown into this conversation, and but that's a discussion. Like, the handbag discussion at the dinner table in this movie is the lexicon, is the culture. And then there's a world of the high culture of this, and that's the more sophisticated conversation, because we can argue why something costs so much, which is trivial to me because it costs what it costs. That's it. And there's high and low price. I mean, I can go to the Barnes and Noble right now, and let's say if I wanted to buy Wuthering Heights. Is it Wuthering Heights or Weathering Heights? I always say Weathering. But there's 5 or 6 different bindings of that book. And then there's like a $45 leather bound version or a $15 like paperback. And here's the crazy thing. The cheap $5, $6 paperbacks are now gone. Paperbacks now are like $15 to $20. I can go in and there's different editions of Dune, The Lord of the Rings, and there's $100 edition of The Lord of the Rings at my local Barnes and Noble, but I can buy the $20 version. Yeah, that's the point. Is there's higher work in this world, and some people, when it comes to me and this podcast, here's the crazy thing, aka Patters. Some people say I cheapen it. I cheapen myself by not putting this through a paywall. I should have people pay for this show. Maybe that's true. My AKA Patters. I don't know. But I love this movie. We're doing a follow-up episode where I discussed The Devil's Wear Prada 2. This past weekend, did a girls' day. Peter A. DeLuca with the girls, with the women of my life. Such a wonderful, loving day. I really did enjoy it. I want to talk to you guys about it and how we can use movies to pull us in and bring us together. High or low, meaning you see with one person or you see with 20 people. But AK Patters, The Devil's Wear Prada is as important of a movie, and it's one of the great FUs in history. Because you gotta remember, the girl who wrote the book was tortured by this Anna Winthorpe girl. And she said, F you. And now, like, again, it's so meta. It's so freaking great. Like, no hard feelings. It's a success for everybody. Really great stuff. AK Patters, I love you guys. Rock and roll.
Okay, that's a wrap.